All right, let's do the CNN one as well. Finally, the CNN debut, ladies and gentlemen. Shouts out to Hasan Piker for chopping this up.
Welcome to The Whole Story. I'm Anderson Cooper. The spread of misinformation and conspiracy theories has flourished with the rise of online social platforms that cater to extremist views with little to no regard for what's true and what's not. CNN's Donie O'Sullivan has spent years talking to people who've fallen for these conspiracy theories. But tonight he's focusing on a group of people you probably haven't heard from. Young men who were once liberal Democrats but have changed their views in some pretty surprising ways, they say, after becoming disillusioned with politics.
I spend a lot of my time at conferences, and there's a subtle art to a successful one, like making sure there's plenty of refreshments, creating room for stimulating conversation. At a good conference, you can feel like you're at home. But sometimes conferences are a mixed bag.
Cameraman of the year, CNN guy Donie.
Sometimes you get a warm welcome. Sometimes you get harassed. Sometimes you even get hacked.
You arrived in Vegas and got hacked within an hour?
Sometimes you have to make your own fun.
Yep. Oh.
It's Memorial Day weekend and I'm not at a barbecue or watching a parade. I'm in Michigan for one of the biggest gatherings of pro-Palestinian activists in the country. But someone who is not welcome here is a 24-year-old named Jackson Hinkle.
Listen, respect to Donie for at least like separating the pro-Palestinian movement from like Jackson Hinkle.
You're not prepared to admit that Israel's a terrorist organization.
You're wrong.
Kim Jong-un is a peace-seeking leader, despite what, the talking heads say. We're going to de-NATOfy Ukraine, and we're going to de-Nazify you.
All right, you just sound completely bonkers.
Jackson is holding another much smaller event for Gaza across town.
What's your name?
Mirk.
Mirk?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
He and his followers call themselves MAGA communists. And that isn't supposed to be a joke.
Nice. You guys always with Jackson and...
You're a journalist?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Do I not look like one?
The first journalist I ever met.
Well, you've come all this way to be here.
Yeah. I feel like Jackson, he always speaks what he thinks. He doesn't have a filter.
All right, it's about 30 minutes to go. But yeah, let's see if they sell it out. I don't know. I don't know what to... I do not know what to expect. A lot of kids in suits.
Among the suits, a Democrat-turned-MAGA communist in a Hawaiian tank top and flip-flops, who calls himself Charmhole.
Charmhole. Follow me on everything.
So that's your online name?
Yeah, my online name.
By the way, this dude is a real freak, but apparently he was like very seriously trying to debate that like every person that has been circumcised is actually trans. He got banned from our Discord in 2020 for like trying to constantly debate on that issue, and even went so far as to say that like my mods were transphobic for banning him. I didn't know any of this until recently. Some real solid individuals here, okay?
My actual name is Adam Service.
Okay.
I'm incredibly American, born and raised in Ohio.
So you're a streamer? What?
Yeah. I've been on Twitch, but I've been banned off Twitch a few times. They don't like me because I'm very political, like these guys, my heroes, which is weird to say since they're younger than me. But
these guys are your heroes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously?
Yeah. I wouldn't be here if they weren't.
So are you a MAGA communist?
Absolutely, MAGA communist. I used to hate Trump. I would call him old. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to cuss or say bad things.
No, you can cuss, yeah.
Well, I used to call him a pedophile, illiterate retard, stuff like that, because I was a big Bernie bro, and I was like, I'll do anything for Bernie, anything, right? And that's why I love these guys, because they just assume you're smart. They're going to tell you all the smartest stuff, and if you don't get it, then you're just going to miss out on the next big thing, which hopefully is MAGA communism. Right?
This immediately demonstrates like his ambition, right? His own personal motivation for being on board with this is like he like caught something. These are the crypto bros, okay, of political ideology, I guess.
America's form of communism.
MAGA communism.
MAGA communism.
You know, people watching CNN are going to say, you're crazy.
Absolutely, I would hope so.
How's it going, everybody? All right. This is great. It's good to be here. We actually have CNN in the building with us tonight. They're filming some propaganda documentary, which
The crowd here was mostly male and mostly white.
You know, today's event is called Free America to Free Palestine. Shout out to the AI gods for giving me this beautiful shot.
Dude, why are so many conservatives like such defenders of AI art? At this point, when I see AI art, when I see someone prominently display ugly ass AI art, immediately I'm like alarm bells are ringing in my mind. I'm like, you are an unserious person. Let's continue.
Of the American cowboys with the Palestine flag. We need to stop supporting, you know, these genocidal maniacs, and we need to, of course, arrest everyone who is committing these crimes at this very moment, which is almost all of Congress and the White House.
But Jackson had barely started speaking about Gaza.
I've been to Russia, I've been to China. Their major cities are much nicer.
Before he launched into pro-Russia and pro-China talking points.
Now, Russia's better and stronger than ever before, and their leader has a very high approval rating. The more America supports real terrorist entities like Israel, real terrorist countries like Ukraine, the more that we strengthen our actual enemies. And I will just say once and for all, so Piers Morgan never has to ask me again, no, I do not condemn Hamas. Very simple.
Jackson's social media following skyrocketed after the October 7th attack on Israel.
Joe Biden is plunging us into a fascist state.
And he's a big fan of Vladimir Putin.
Most of what is said about Vladimir Putin in the mainstream press is just factually not true. We as communists want to unite with MAGA voters and finish the job of Donald Trump.
Like, that's so funny, man. I'm sorry. Like, first of all, how are you this anti-Israel and pro-Trump at the same time? Like, how does that make any sense? How can you be a person who is literally like, I hate Israel, Israel's the worst, and also simultaneously be like, and that's why we should vote for Donald Trump, who literally is somehow at the same level of dick riding in terms of Israel as Joe Biden is?
As the event came to a close, superfans lined up to meet Jackson.
That was the most inspiring thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I've seen Barack Obama speak. That was something to behold, for sure. You see all the people there and you think, wow, I'm really a part of something.
I really cannot tell if you're doing a bit.
But not everyone who came here was a fan of Jackson's.
Now, what did you think?
I think he's an insane person.
Insane?
Yeah, I think he's insane. Rightfully criticizes America where they should be criticized, but then glorifies the Chinese Communist Party, North Korea, terrorists, you know, that have kidnapped and murdered people. I think it's weird how he ties himself to MAGA and MAGA communism when Donald Trump is the most pro-Israeli president that's ever lived. MAGA communism are...
I guess it's just like patently American, honestly. Because, like, okay, look at what this guy is saying, you know? Look at what he just said. Look at what the Jack guy said, who might even be a fan of mine, if we're being real.
He most himself to MAGA and MAGA communism when Donald Trump is the most pro-Israeli president that's ever lived. MAGA communism.
No, he was calling Hamas terrorists. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. It's like, he is like the American liberal who's more progressive than the Democratic Party. But
most pro-Israeli president that's ever lived. MAGA communism are complete polar opposites of each other.
Are you going to try to speak to him?
Yeah, I'm going to try to speak to him.
Okay.
I'm going to do so as a gentleman.
Nice to meet you.
Lane Kendall, a provocateur in his own right.
Let's ask about
Who
Palestine.
propped up Hamas? Why do we think Hamas had the ability to do what they did?
That's called propaganda.
Has a history of appearing on online conservative media.
Good. There's one thing when you talk about it, I want to make sure I understand. When you go into things about China, Russia,
Iran, especially China, you omit so much about them. I'm from Texas. And the things that you're omitting, I have lived in China. I went to Tsinghua University. You don't say that 600 million people in the country still live on less than $1.40 a day. Well, why don't you say those things?
Okay. You're very, very emotional. Like
I am, yeah. Because
Fucking own. Never mind, dude. He's cooking.
Hasan quickly realized that he wasn't talking to just another fan.
All right, look, CNN propaganda. This guy's a CNN agent.
I think
100%.
CNN is the worst outlet in the country.
Time to get out, buddy. Danny.
Is it the Kremlin?
Get this guy out.
Couldn't answer the questions, could he? Didn't think so. Put that on CNN.
But the men that we met here weren't always this way.
My name's Jackson Hinkle.
Like a few years ago, Jackson was campaigning for progressive causes.
I was BLM originally. BLM has been co-opted by NATO, by the government.
And Adam, aka Charmhole, had changed as well.
Big liberal. You used to be a big liberal.
Absolutely.
A big Democrat.
Yeah.
You were a Bernie bro?
Bernie bro, through and through.
I wanted to find out what had made them change.
Why do you think the Russians like you so much?
Well, I speak truth.
Good to see you, man.
American politics is schizophrenic. You got one side saying you're crazy, you got the other side saying you're crazy.
Here to see Charmhole, Adam Service. Adam campaigned for Bernie Sanders. Now he's a big fan of Jackson Hinkle, and in his own words, he is terminally online.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
You've gotten taller since I've seen you now.
I've gotten shorter. I think my dad's hiding.
He doesn't want to be on CNN?
Dad was here to talk all about how this is a funeral parlor.
This was a funeral parlor?
Yeah, like 100 years ago. This is actually my mom's hometown.
Okay.
Her dad, World War II vet, Pacific Theater. So he passed away, I believe, 4 years ago, and then my mom passed away 2 years ago.
Okay.
Her dad always had a saying, that was his chair. If he'd go up to the bathroom or cook something, right, he'd jump in his chair, and then he'd come out and he'd say, "Would you jump in my grave as fast?" 2 years later, she jumped right in.
Just here, by the way. Thanks. All right, I need to see where you are terminally online.
Yeah. Clean up a little bit for you.
Thank you.
So what I've got is 2K.
Bro, this is the average HasanAbi hater setup. Asmin maxing. Yeah.
Monitor right here, curved Samsung Odyssey G7. Love this sucker. 240 frames a second.
Could I like pull in a chair maybe to sit with you? Or,
oh, actually, yeah. Look.
Wow.
Like millions of other video gamers, Adam watches live streams on platforms like Twitch, where fellow gamers often talk politics.
How many hours a day would you say you play up here?
A day. Play? Excuse me? This is work right now. This is research. I'm listening to Dan Bongino while also talking to you and playing Championship Rocket League. I'm God Gamer, all right? Remember that.
So how many hours a day are you God gaming?
I mean, it's a full-time job. So anywhere from 6 to 10 hours.
Wow.
It's hard to understand how disgusting politics is.
True. Politics is disgusting. So normally what I'll have is, I got Discord, everything loading up, Rumble. So I got Bongino, ex-Secret Service, telling me all about how Jill Biden and Coco Cam.
Bro, I've always wondered who sits around and watches Dan Bongino. It's this guy.
Trump to get JFK'd. And I'll do that while playing video games.
Is there a Taco Bell here? I've never had a Taco Bell.
You've never had Taco Bell? There's nothing more American than Taco Bell.
Yeah, could I get 4 cheesy street chalupas?
I'm sorry, but we don't serve the street chalupas anymore.
Dang! That's okay.
Nice. Yeah. No, just never have leftover Taco Bell.
Adam had moved back to his small hometown in rural Ohio after years of living in Bloomington, Indiana, a city about 4 hours away.
Wait, so tell me though, Jackson Hinkle.
Yeah.
MAGA communism.
Oh yeah, MAGA communism.
MAGA communism sounds like the dumbest thing ever.
So it's
how can you define it?
Boomer, you cannot define it to boomers, right?
Well, I'm a millennial, I think.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So it's like I said.
No. No, I don't believe it. Google says he's 33. Google has this person's age. Charmhole, check his logs. I was banned from your Discord by your transphobic moderation. I was attempting to debate transsexual issues. They got mad. I'm such an epic debate lord. I was banned from your Discord by transphobic moderation. I was attempting to debate transsexual issues, and they got mad. I'm such an epic debate lord. 9/27/2020. First to say trans rights gets a gift sub. Let's go. Want to debate?
You have to remember this. Communism is the Russian word for conservatism.
No, it's not.
What?
The next intersection, you want to take a left, or else we're just going to see a whole bunch of beans and corn.
You ever miss the bright lights of Bloomington?
No. No, not at all.
I feel like you view your time in Indiana in the city as kind of like a period of your life that's over now, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Campaign for Bernie, you know.
You were dating.
Telling all my Facebook friends racist because they didn't want to vote for Obama, you know.
Yeah. Last time I saw you, Biden was still in the race. So wait, you're guessing you're just not a Harris fan.
She's a Zogbot.
What the fuck is a Zogbot?
You don't know what a Zogbot? All right,
let's continue.
Operated government. We are...
Adam casually banters in the kind of hateful speech he regularly sees in memes and online slang.
But what happens in November?
What happened?
If Harris wins?
He's like, I'm a MAGA communist. I love Donald Trump. Kamala Harris is too pro-Israel for my liking. Okay. Then what is Donald Trump? Oh my God, dude.
If
they
don't make it too big to rig and cheat again like they did 4 years ago, because the DNC definitely cheats, which Bernie just admitted live.
So you're saying the only way Harris could win is if they cheat?
Yeah, 1,000%. See, this is the thing, and this is probably what you're going to cut this all up into, is me being like a really bad, evil, white man racist that, oh man, I just hate Democrats, I hate liberals, like, right, a bunch of commies, you know? And it's like, okay, one, I was just...
Bro, you voluntarily deployed a David Duke style term, like just in the midst of a normal conversation with another human being.
Part of them, like 4 years ago, I was in it, right? I've been betrayed by them multiple times. So now I'm trying my hand at being betrayed by the Republican Party.
Oh, nice! But Adam's departure from the left has taken him down a dark path to people like white supremacist Nick Fuentes, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, and MAGA communist Jackson Hinkle. Adam is among the 8% of Bernie Sanders supporters in the 2020 Democratic primary who are now pro-Trump.
And you actually find Jackson Hinkle impressive? You actually?
Yeah, fundamentally I have to, because one, he's really good looking. He's fundamentally a handsome man, right?
When we first met, you said that being an American man, being masculine, it's been kind of equated with toxicity.
That's because it is, by nature. We're naturally acidic, but we can also bust nuts and create more humans.
But the woman has a role in that too, right?
Well, yeah, they make the men. That's what my mom would always say. There's two things she ever wanted to do in her life: be a nurse and have boys. She did both. That's why she died happy, you know? She died fulfilled. This is why I was such a liberal growing up, is because my dad would always listen to Rush Limbaugh, you know, and he's always yelling, and he's really mad about everything, and everything's going to shit, you know, and I was like, according to Mom, this is toxic, this is bad. So then I just naturally, you know, I had an aversion to conservatism and men and masculinity. That's why I got called gay for so much. I mean, that and the blonde hair.
You got called gay?
Yeah, all the time. In this park, constantly.
But so one thing you brought up, you had a spell in a mental health hospital. Do you take any meds?
They tried to get me on Zyprexa. It was like $280 a month.
Right.
I laughed at that. I was like, yeah, right.
If you could afford it, would you?
No. No, I just smoked weed instead.
I've been on antidepressants and stuff for about 12 years now.
Oh my Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder you're so good at being true neutral. You got no emotions to mess with you. Hey, Donie, what's up today? How you feeling? Yes.
Probably grew up in a family like yours.
Yeah? Did the playground kids call you gay?
No, they call me fat, though.
You were always this fat?
Yes.
That is so American, dude. There is nothing more American than being an objectively fatter person looking at a person that is like not as fat as you are and going, damn, dog, you're fat. That's so funny. Dude, he is the perfect American.
Yes. You can change. You get off those mood stabilizers, start throwing the b-ball.
Adam's use of homophobic, racist, and anti-Semitic slurs is something that he sees as quote-unquote edgy.
You keep saying Zogbot.
I'm only using Zogbot because I've been listening to a lot of Nick Fuentes.
You're not a Nick Fuentes fan?
Not necessarily. I think that...
Because he's a white supremacist.
Well, think about it.
He's a white supremacist.
Okay. He's a white proponent.
He's an anti-Semite.
He's racefully white.
He's a white proponent? What are you saying?
He loves Kanye. And Alex Jones, who they've been trying to nail for God knows how long now.
You're an Alex Jones fan?
Absolutely. I am now, absolutely.
But you don't believe the stuff he said about Sandy Hook kids?
I mean, I wasn't there. I wasn't there. I did it first.
This shouldn't be a difficult question for you to answer.
Well, look at the evidence. Let's say that he started to look into it, and it turns out Obama had those kids murdered on purpose.
But he didn't.
But if they died, that's still a possibility because he was president. And by purpose, I still mean negligence.
What about the parents of the children, right?
What about them?
But isn't what Alex Jones doing is making these tragedies so much worse?
No. How do you get worse than child death?
I'll tell you how.
How?
By having idiots who watch Alex Jones show up and start harassing the parents of the children who died in the Sandy Hook shooting. That's how you make it worse.
Adam and I were going around in circles on this nonsense when my photographer Andrew weighed in from behind the camera.
I just want to say something. I see a lot of you in me.
Yeah.
What if I told you I grew up 5 minutes from Sandy Hook? Just I was there, you know, like I was there right away.
You know somebody?
I knew the nurse. Her mother was killed that day, and I grew up with her daughter. And everyone in town knows the dad.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, small town, when something like that happens. That's why I said earlier that maybe it was Obama who killed those children.
Andrew, my photographer.
Yeah, by the way, absolutely. This guy is the consequence of not having Medicare for all, 100%. I stand firmly committed to the position that I maintain that Medicare for all would solve a lot of these issues.
Fur had briefly brought a dose of reality to the fantasy
watching me?
world that Adam lives in online. We left Adam to travel to the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, where we were about to meet one of his former Twitch heroes, Hasan Piker.
What is going on with this, bro? Chicago put some crazy shit on their dogs.
And some other familiar faces.
Mike.
Where are you?
Mike Lindell's in here.
Dude, have you seen
Pillow
him yet?
guy's here?
Yeah. He has no mustache.
Mark! He actually shaved it? Oh my god, we have to find him.
Well, we're interviewing each other.
I do love peppers and onions. I do.
It's the first morning of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, and pro-Palestinian protesters are already gathering.
I think people here came in peace. I'm literally came in peace. I'm asking for peace.
Well, I'm hoping to shit up without getting arrested.
Dude, chill out. Chill out. We're all pressed.
Did you check in yet?
It is tense here.
Yeah. We're sorry about that, honestly.
The organizers are right to be worried.
Because these guys. They're scumbags. They're ruining America.
Not everyone here is on their side.
Loads of pro-Palestine demonstrators gathering over here. Small group of pro-Israeli demonstrators. And among them, we found some MAGA influencers.
Hey, who are you with?
CNN.
Oh no!
We watched as far-right troll and Pizzagate conspiracy theorist Jack Posobiec tried to disguise himself as a pro-Palestine protester.
Now, the mainstream media isn't going to be out here. I haven't seen anyone from the mainstream media that's hanging out here.
But his disguise didn't work out.
Hey, Jack! How are you? This is a right-wing fascist.
And Jack the troll got trolled.
How many abortions have you had today? DNC. I'm getting paid by George Soros to have an abortion on the stage.
I'll be broadcasting live.
But it's not just outside the event. This year's DNC was the first where creators or influencers were treated the same as the mainstream press. One of the biggest stars in the new world of news consumption is Hasan Piker.
I'll put this in the trunk too. How are you letting this guy drive?
How do you explain what it is you do?
I have a pretty easy explanation for people that are older. I basically do what Rush Limbaugh used to do, right? But online instead of on radio. And also, I don't have brainworms.
This game is woke. Oh, they cut out the part where I said brainworms, both literally and figuratively.
Hasan has almost 3 million followers on the video game streaming platform Twitch.
I'm talking for 8 to 10 hours every day.
8 to 10 hours a day?
Yeah. Yeah.
He streams live almost all day watching the news.
The former president was found guilty of all 34 felony counts teen election.
And playing video games.
How do we fight again? I totally forgot.
Sometimes playing a character named after me. He even tries to do an Irish accent.
My name is Donie O'Sullivan, sir.
I'm fascinated with Republicans, and I obviously...
No! Your parents saw me do the Donie O'Sullivan accent. Oh, no.
You always loved the hits that you would do when you go to these rallies and you talk to them.
Before we get out, people might confuse us.
Yeah.
You're 6'4", built like myself. Are you a Harris supporter?
I wouldn't say I'm a Harris supporter.
You'll vote for her?
Maybe. We'll see. I get a lot of criticism from the Democratic Party loyalists regardless.
Yeah.
Hasan was about to try and live stream all day from the DNC.
Pray to God that the internet is stable. Wait, this is my permanent space? This is fire. I mean, this is cool, and it's much cooler than I anticipated.
I can see CNN from here. Anderson! There's a restraining order. So this is in your writer?
that would not be in my writer.
Protein. We need more protein in here.
It would feature Core Power Elite, 42 grams of protein, 230 calories.
Sick! On the face of it, Hasan is a bro. One of these so-called masculine men that Jackson and Charmhold revere and aspire to be.
Do you know about this mega communism?
Yes, Jackson Hinkle being one of them. He was like a Bernie bro, I think, back in the day. I'm like, I don't know anything about the guy.
You were a Bernie guy. You were a Bernie bro.
Yeah, I like Bernie a lot. Yeah.
But Hasan says his brand of masculinity is very, very different to Jackson's.
Hitler, at the end of the war, he killed himself. He's a faggot.
Like, how does this happen? Where you are to the right of Adolf Hitler.
What is it about some of these guys that has made them go from far left to far right?
Like every young man in a certain point of their lives have like had some kind of insecurity, whether it be about their sexuality or whether it be about like their future prospects or whatever. And I think that like a lot of these guys take advantage of that and present this false narrative that like, in order to be a man, you got to be like homophobic. It's like, no, a real man is going to want to protect people who are marginalized.
It really is getting intertwined more and more with politics, where a lot of young men who are disillusioned for whatever reason, they don't have a girlfriend, they don't have a job, and they have people telling them, wait, this is not your fault. And to some extent, it's a societal issue, of course, but here specifically is who to blame, in a way that can have profound impacts for our society and our politics.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely correct, which is why I always advocate to fix the underlying material inequalities that creates a perfect opportunity for these kind of guys to be radicalized in this way.
The DNC had given Hasan a nice setup.
Whoa, I just dropped 0. What is happening?
But didn't give the Twitch streamer the thing he needed most, a working internet connection.
It's completely gone. The internet is completely gone. They shut it off.
With the great Patti LaBelle rehearsing behind him,
what the
we left Hasan to figure out his technical difficulties. As we moved around the DNC, we saw more and more creators and influencers, each one trying to upstage the other.
Okay, so I'm here at the Democratic DNC Day 1.
What is a skibbity?
That's such BS.
So you got Ben and Harry here. You got a right-wing guy versus a really big supporter for Harris here. I gotta give it to them. They are arguing statistics and policies. It hasn't divulged into culture war bullshit yet.
But that didn't last long.
Okay, well, I did her.
I used the gender-neutral bathroom, and out there, here you are, there is something wrong with that.
Ben had soon moved on to the convention's gender-neutral restrooms.
How was that experience?
I'll tell you what.
He was joined at the restrooms by Mike Lindell, the pillow salesman and election denier who was also in disguise.
Shaving off my mustache. We're going inside the Democrat convention in disguise. Are you from Ireland?
I did not recognize you.
Mike isn't exactly discreet.
I snuck in. I'm in the Democrat convention.
Lindell debated too with a 12-year-old content creator.
257,000 votes. This happened last week. A judge ruled in Georgia.
Who wasn't buying it.
So your sources trust me, bro? That's your source? He provided no facts, no sources.
Mike Lindell just got rolled by a 12-year-old.
Jackson Hinkle didn't make it to Chicago for the convention this summer, but he had made multiple trips to Russia.
Now I'm in Vladivostok. I'm safe for the time being.
I wanted to find out who Jackson really is, so we finally got to speak to him.
You are an absolute gift to the propagandists in Russia and China.
I'm a gift to the free people of the world.
And to some of the people who knew him best.
Are you worried for him?
I'm more worried for myself doing this right now, honestly, but
why?
I don't want his army coming after me for speaking out against the MAGA communism movement.
Surfers for Kennedy! Surfers for Kennedy, what do you think about a surfing president? Get him.
What's his name?
BG.
He's beautiful.
A surfing competition isn't exactly where you might expect all of this activity.
300 Biden, man. 300 Biden. He's my president.
But this is an election year, and this is Orange County in Southern California.
I voted for Reagan.
Yeah.
I voted for Perot. And ever since then, I've voted Democrat. I feel heartbroken about the corruption of the Democratic Party.
Irina Morris voted Democrat for decades, but since RFK dropped out of the race and endorsed Trump, she says she'll now probably vote MAGA.
I'm voting against the appointee from the swamp factory.
Jackson Hinkle has had a similar, albeit more dramatic journey from the political left to the political right. Before he was a social media firebrand and before he was a darling of the Kremlin and Russian state TV, Jackson grew up here. And just a few short years ago, he was a soft-spoken kid who picked up trash on the beach and organized to cut down on plastics in his school.
We really bonded because we were in the same environmental science class.
Josh Green was friends with Jackson all throughout their teens.
We were some of the few liberal students in our entire school. We had a very conservative student body.
Josh and Jackson campaigned for liberal causes together.
So we would often be ridiculed for standing up for progressive issues like the environment or gun safety or gay rights. You know, people thought that we were, soft leftist snowflakes.
After Jackson graduated high school, he was the youngest person here to run for city council.
I think that a good city council candidate has to be well-versed on the issues.
Orange County is very conservative. What are you rascally kids up to in this run for office?
We're up to a lot right now.
He had a remarkable little career considering he was just out of high school. He's putting himself through junior college. And he was responsible for all the solar panels that you see around San Clemente High School. And that was his idea. And he just had that drive that you see in some young people, but not a lot of them.
A natural communicator.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Jackson lost his election bid and sometime thereafter lost his youthful politics as well.
A lot of what I had been force-fed through my education as a young individual was all propaganda.
Something had turned him into this.
You're gonna kind of go down the path of faggots like that. They were all transgenders and gays.
The Nazis?
Yes.
Hey, man.
I'd been searching for answers about Jackson, and he agreed to sit down and talk to me directly.
You're promoting something called MAGA communism.
Yes.
Which to a lot of people is going to sound moronic.
Well, I think it causes a lot of people to reassess their cancellation of the MAGA working class, and they've been written off, they've been called racist or any sorts of names. They've just been canceled.
You are in some ways the quintessential American man, right? You're surfer guy, California. So for the Russians or the Chinese to have somebody like you to go over there and basically shit all over America.
No shitting on America. I love this country, I love the people. I just want it to be better.
Is there not a way to do that without having to fly back and forth to Moscow and
and seem to be embracing authoritarian regimes?
Well, they're far less authoritarian than the United States.
Come on, man.
Ultimately, ultimately, I live in the generation where for the first time there's going to be a lower standard of living than the previous generation. That's not good.
And I mean, I hear all that, but when you say Russia and China have got it better.
Well, their major cities are much nicer. If you go and take high-speed rail hours into China.
You can't genuinely say that people in Russia and people in China have more liberties than people in the United States.
Well, there's no free speech.
You have a lot of free speech.
Really?
You
think I have free speech?
You don't think you have free speech?
No. I mean, what's the public square today? It's obviously social media.
You have 3 million followers on X. You can post whatever you want. You're hosting events here. How do you not have free speech? What part of your speech is being curtailed?
It's very simple. It's very simple. Yes, I have 3 million followers on X. But what about Instagram? I've been banned. YouTube, I've been banned. I was banned from Raya, a dating site.
Jackson's bans might have something to do with his repeated
That's so embarrassing to admit, dude. Come on.
sharings of hateful posts and his celebrations of violence.
You look like you're in pain.
I'd been left frustrated and confused by Jackson. Did he really believe all the stuff he was saying, or was he just doing it all for social media clout or for money? I just don't know if I believe you. Whatever his motivations, his message and his propaganda is resonating.
You know, like Donald Trump, Jackson has definitely found a way to build an audience of people who feel disenfranchised or feel pushed away by our society and our system.
Was there ever a moment for you where you were like, what the hell is going on with my friend?
One of the first was when he did the interview with Tucker Carlson.
So Biden is plunging us into a fascist state.
Because Tucker Carlson is an asshole. Somebody who, like Jackson, either believes what they're saying or because they get paid a lot to do it. Jackson describes himself as a communist, right? Why? Because he smoked a lot of weed and read Karl Marx. He's the biggest fucking capitalist I've ever seen. I'm so disappointed in what's happened to Jackson. He had this opportunity to be something really positive, but he has become the king of conspiracy theories.
The king of conspiracy theories.
Have you heard of somebody called Jackson Hinkle?
Yes.
What do you think about him?
Not my politics at all.
Jackson had been condemned and disavowed by established pro-Palestinian activists.
People see our car issue as their playground a lot of the times.
But he isn't alone in resetting his political compass.
I feel more like a man already just listening to these gentlemen.
And some of it reflects a big change in American politics.
I think a lot of the younger generation, they have a different perspective of U.S. history of colonialization. They're skeptical of what the government's telling them.
We have a quiet.
Oh, wow. This is a great setup. And where's CNN from here?
He shaved his mustache in an effort to be incognito.
Back at the DNC.
Dude, I have a better location than Jake Tapper. You should tell Jake that.
Hasan had finally got some working internet.
You are the news now.
I think most people who are like not exactly fans of my perspective are still like, well, that's a famous guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hasan streams live on Twitch pretty much everywhere he goes, even when he's grabbing lunch. He's not a Jackson Hinkle fan and actively calls out the kind of hate Jackson spreads. But
I will say this. There are a lot of people that are on the payroll of the American government, or at least working at the behest of the American military-industrial complex, that say a metric ton of propaganda that is never considered propaganda in that same vein as what Jackson Hinkle is doing. Now, I don't even know what his background is in terms of like if he's getting funded by foreign governments or whatnot.
For all his chauvinism and misinformation, Jackson is speaking to a different understanding of America.
COVID changed the world. There was a radicalization on the right when it came to lockdowns and it came to masks.
Yeah.
What about on the other side?
The American project hinges on being able to afford your treats. The moment that your access to your treats that are affordable are restricted, everything will fall apart. Society collapses. Because then you're like, well, what the am I doing this for? You know? I have a shit-ass job, no future prospects, barely can make payments,
But at least I can go to Applebee's and get $5 jalapeno poppers.
Right.
Okay, and hang out with the boys and slam a couple brews, watch some football. COVID broke that a little bit. All of a sudden, everyone was like, well, okay, what's the whole purpose of this then? If I can't have my treats. I think that was like the breaking point for a lot of people.
Jackson Hinkle, 8 years ago, was like a Bernie kid. Now he's hanging out at the Kremlin, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I made a conscious decision to be true to myself and say jalapeno poppers, okay?
How does that happen?
I don't think his political compass is very well aligned.
Joshua Frank is the editor of Counterpunch, one of the best-known left-wing magazines in the world.
I certainly don't think he's on the left. I don't know what a mega communist actually is, and I don't think he does.
One thing that Jackson and I can agree on, we're both American patriots in the sense that we're willing to criticize our own country. I don't disagree with everything that he says. I think there's way too much Russia phobia in this country. Obviously, the war with Russia and Ukraine is horrible, but I think this country needs to eventually work with countries like Russia and China.
You know, I think a lot of the younger generation, they have a different perspective of U.S. history of colonialization. They're further away from World War II and that narrative. They're skeptical of what the government's telling them to believe, especially when they're seeing an alternative in their social media feeds. But that's also where it can get kind of dangerous, because you do have to have some sense of media literacy.
Yeah, because it's one thing having a healthy skepticism of any media outlet, really, right? And any narrative that's being pushed. But on the other hand, what you have is people totally abandoning journalism, getting their news from somebody like Jackson Hinkle.
If you or a loved one has ever...
It's not Counterpoint, it's Counterpunch. Counterpunch is a magazine. Counterpunch is a like an old school leftist magazine.
Ever been fooled by Western propaganda about Ukraine, I don't blame you.
He'll post stuff that is so infuriatingly ill-informed. So many people in his comments, in his community, just take what he's saying as the truth.
Jackson is a Russian propaganda dream, right?
Yeah. Yeah, whether he's doing it and he's on a payroll or not, they're getting a great bargain, right? I mean, if the guy was actually on the left, he would talk about the press in Russia and the crackdown on the free press. They would talk about these things, but they don't, right? And why is that? It raises some flags for me.
Hey, Jackson.
How's it going?
You're breaking up a little bit, but that's okay.
Good, here in Moscow, Russia. Yes, I see that it is trying to reconnect the internet.
Now he's totally frozen.
When I next spoke to Jackson, he was back in Russia. The Kremlin had organized to bring him to parts of Ukraine it had illegally invaded.
Are they brainwashing you?
No, I think the only people who are being brainwashed are the people paid by the military-industrial complex.
Like this right here is gross, okay? Absolutely gross and completely unacceptable. It's gross when Destiny does it, when he goes to Israel and dick rides Israel. It's gross when Jackson Hinkle goes to Russia and dick rides Russia. There is no difference.
To spout certain views.
You haven't gone kind of full Tucker Carlson yet, though. You haven't gone to a supermarket and started sniffing bread.
Oh, come on. And coming to a Russian grocery store, the heart of evil, it will radicalize you against our leaders. That's how I feel anyway, radicalized.
Jackson denies taking money from the Russian government.
You're a guest, basically, of the Russian Foreign Ministry, right?
There's multiple private and public individuals that I think are supporting my efforts to see the country and you know, showing me the truth about Russia. I pay for my travels. I pay for my hotel expenses.
Every time I think maybe this guy is mature, you tweet something stupid. You did a poll. You are facing a death sentence before a judge, but the judge is on her period. Are you okay with this? Like, are you just a straight up sexist? I just don't understand. What's the deal with this sort of stuff?
Well, of course, you know, you have to introduce comedy into the dark times. But
Jackson and his followers have a warped view of women and of the world.
So I was dating all these women who were LARPing as men, who want power for themselves, who want money, who want to be like men, unlike a traditional woman, and they all failed. Game theory suggests that the problem is not me.
But in an election year like this, a lot of things get warped.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
My mom actually seen a post on Facebook. There was Haitians in a white van driving around the neighborhoods collecting cat.
For what?
Skinning them and eating them.
We've heard from a number of constituents on the ground, Caitlin, who both firsthand and secondhand reports saying this stuff is happening.
If someone calls your office and says they saw Bigfoot, then
That was an insane banger, dude. Holy shit, that was such a good line.
they saw Bigfoot.
She cooked
J.D.
him.
Vance has also been the target of ridiculous conspiracy theories.
Let me break it down. Yesterday, multiple social media accounts spread fake claims that in his book, Hillbilly Elegy, Vance describes having sex with a couch.
Sitting on a hard couch here.
It's not my thing, but maybe it's J.D. Vance's. You know, it's funny, my mom was asking me about it, and she asked if it was true.
A lewd conspiracy theory about J.D. Vance and a couch doesn't quite undermine American democracy the same way as for years falsely claiming an election was stolen. But it does show how a conspiracy theory that might seem crazy or clearly a joke to some of us might not to someone else, especially if it plays into their political biases.
So, but your mom, who's a Democrat?
Anti-Trump, I would call her. Yeah.
Okay. But she was genuinely wondering, did that happen?
Yeah, did that happen?
Yeah.
And that was after when Walz made the comment in his speech.
I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
But I also think that that's our day and age with politics, right? You have someone like Trump and Vance out there saying a million things every day. So the Democrats pushing back in a funny way. It's kind of like they ask for it, right?
I spend a lot of my time talking to Trump supporters, trying to understand the rabbit holes people go down. On your stream, you have a bit of fun with it sometimes. I think you also refer sometimes to Trump supporters as hogs. So you're not going to take the vaccine?
Absolutely not.
What if Trump came out and said, please take this vaccine?
No, I don't believe he'll take it.
Yeah, well, he did. Idiot.
But you must feel some empathy.
Oh, sorry. Oh. They pull some choice clips.
At times, some sympathy.
Oh, yeah.
Some people genuinely believe this stuff.
I do ultimately still want to change the minds of people. I don't necessarily fault individuals for going down this rabbit hole because I understand that we're all, in some ways, victim to propaganda. We cannot escape propaganda.
Rachel Maddow, she's broke my heart. Rachel, I thought you'd tell me the story.
More and more of us have people we love, our family, our friends, falling down rabbit holes. Rabbit holes that stoke fear and promote hate. Rabbit holes that can transform people from who they used to be. And rabbit holes that can even take them into war zones at the other side of the world.
Are you being followed by like the Russian security services, or for that matter, the CIA? I mean, surely the American government knows that you're there.
Well, I think if the CIA or the Russian intelligence is doing their job properly, I wouldn't know, and I don't know.
Okay, well, bring me back a fridge magnet or something, will you?
I've actually got a special gift for you. No, you'll like it, I promise.
That was fire. Shouts out to Donie O'Sullivan, MisinfoNation The Lost Left on CNN. Shit was fire. Absolute banger.